was 17 years old at the time of my story. I lived in a small town called Bangor. The town was relatively small. It only had a couple of stores and local restaurants. We also have a railroad in the middle of town, and my house so happens to be real close to it. Anyways, my house is pretty big, but not in great condition. Let's just say my family was barely getting by, and we did do with what we had. Now, some background story to my house is that many families have actually come and gone to this house, and that someone actually committed suicide in the basement. I know that seems like a bunch of red flags, but again, my family just wanted a place to live for the meantime. We lived in the house for the majority of my high school years, and during my senior year is when I actually started to experience things. I'm actually pretty skeptical about ghosts and paranormal, but this one particular night, it was like mid-October, and I was in my room watching some TV. My parents had gone over to my uncle's house earlier that night, so that meant I was home alone. But while I watched TV, I heard something outside my door. I didn't think anything of it at first, but then it did it again. This time, I got up and opened my door. There was nothing. Keep in mind, I didn't have any pets, so hearing this was a first. I walked into my living room to see if there was a rat or anything, but I didn't. I just let it go and went back to bed. About a couple of minutes later, I was enjoying my show until I heard that sound again. This time, I got up and opened my door and looked around, but again, nothing. I was just irritated at this point, so I closed my door and I sat on my couch to see if a rat would just go up to my door. But this is the part where I get freaked out. There was something in my kitchen, but it was like a door slam. I went into the kitchen, and the only door leading out the kitchen is in my basement. I was really freaking out at this point. I didn't know if someone was in the house with me, but somehow I manned up and opened the door. I tried turning on the light switch, but it wouldn't budge. This was textbook horror movie stuff. I didn't even have a phone on me, so I grabbed a flashlight and a new pair of batteries with it. I slowly walked down the stairs, and with every step, there was a creak. My basement is pretty big, and it was a mess down there with all our boxes and old furniture. I pointed my flashlight all around the basement, and the only thing I could hear was my breathing. I was really scared at this point. I walked closer to the boiler room and shined my light in there. But once I did, my flashlight quickly turned off. I tried to turn on my flashlight back on, but it wouldn't. I was brushing to turn it back on, but while I did, I heard a faint cracking noise. I couldn't make out the noise, so I got closer in the boiler room. I had goosebumps, and I froze for a moment. I hurried up and went back upstairs. I actually ran outside because of how scared I was. I stayed outside until my dad and mom actually got home, and I told them everything. My dad followed me into the basement. Me and my dad came upon something I will never forget. There was nothing in the boiler room. Nothing at all. Except a single torn up Bible. Now, I don't know if it was there already or not, but I was seriously scared, and I just couldn't explain it. And to this day, nothing has really happened. One day, I was running on the local trail near my house. I had my dog Manly with me. She was a brown lab, and she always went with me on every run. My house literally sits like 5 minutes away from the trail, and the trail itself goes for miles. While I was running, I had Manly on her leash. She loved to walk, and always was a joy having. She was literally my best friend, and she always protected me everywhere I go. Well, this one day, as I was walking down the trail, it seemed to get pretty dark, and I was going pretty far into the trail, that the light posts were not visible anymore. Right before I was thinking of turning around, Manly started to growl. "It's okay, Manly," I said. "Probably just a raccoon or something." But Manly kept tugging at her leash, and I finally gave in and let her lead where she wanted. She got pretty far ahead, and I yelled at her for going so far. Once I got up to her, she was looking into the distance, and I told her, "What is it, girl? What do you hear?" She just had her ears and eyes peeled, and she was looking into the woods. I waited, and I tried to hear as well. As soon as Manly heard that, she started running towards the noise. My heart dropped, and she was speeding into the woods. I kept yelling at her name, and she would just ignore me. She was going too far, and I started to feel like I had a mini heart attack because of how far she had gotten. But I lost her, and I couldn't keep up. And I didn't know where she'd go. I was dumb enough to let her off her leash. I walked into the woods with just my phone flashlight, and I kept on calling Manly. I walked down a little hill, and I stopped because I heard something in the distance. I thought it might have been Manly, so I hurried and walked towards it. But for a brief moment, I felt like someone or something was watching me. I took a look around the forest and felt so alone. I flashed my light all around me, and the trees, they just gave me a sinister feeling towards me. Then I heard Manly, but she was whimpering. "Manly, where are you?" I called. And as I was walking, something grabbed my shoulder really hard, and I started screaming. I somehow managed to get out of whoever grabbed me. I wanted to throw up, and my heart was beating really hard. I ran so fast and hid behind a tree to catch my breath. I saw Manly hiding in the bushes, and I rushed over to her. And I could tell she had been injured. Her right arm had been cut, and she was really scared. So I grabbed her, and I started carrying her. She was in a lot of pain and couldn't move, and I was just running. And I took a quick glance behind me, and there was this figure, just standing, and it had his face covered. And that's when it started sprinting towards me. I kept on running. I could see some light posts across the forest. I knew if I crossed it, then surely it wouldn't follow me. Once I got near, I looked back again, and there he was. He had something in his hand. Probably a machete, I'm sure of it. And once I crossed the light post, I think I was safe. I was in the light, and I held on to Manly to make sure she was okay. I made sure whoever was following me didn't come out. And right behind was a person just standing there with a machete in their hand. And then they slowly walked back in the trail. I was in shock and called the police right away. I was really out of it, and they asked me questions. I'm just glad I got out of there safe, and that Mally was still alive. After all that, I'm sure you know I'm not going to those trails anytime soon. And I advise everybody who does go to be safe and think twice before going.